people I don't think realize get in the winner circle
What
it
takes.
actually takes.
Yes.
And then you get a good one.
That's really the purpose of
It's
this.
really enjoy it. This business is the highest highs and the lowest lows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable winning. And it's a great equalizer. The horses don't know how much they cost. I mean, the people.
And they never
come
say
from
no.
Every walk of life. And you're all looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
And it really is an amazing industry.
Welcome to Leading the Way, Hartley DeRenzo's podcast. Here we are at the March 2-year-old and training sale at OBS, Ocala Breeder Sales Company, which is the largest 2-year-old sales company in the world. And so these sales have been going on for a long, long time. So here we are. This is Randall Hartley. I'm Dean DeRenzo, and our guest today is April Mayberry.
Hello.
Say hi. There's your camera. And April is Mayberry Sales, Mayberry Farms and Training Center, and very big part of the Mayberry family.
Yes.
So there's some people out there, a lot of people do know you. I mean, let's face it.
Hope it's for the right reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably because we've all been around a long time. But I want to show everybody how important you are to the whole industry. Now, I won't make you blush, but in my opinion, you're very important to the whole industry and the horses that you've had and your family. So tell us a little bit about where you started and maybe who you worked for and how did you get this knowledge that we all wish we had? That's a tough question, right?
My mother and father both trained. My mother was actually one of the first women to ever hold a trainer's license.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And when she had her license, she had to be out of the barn area by dusk and wasn't allowed to.
Get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It would have been early 60s.
Where was that?
In Ohio.
Move your mic a little bit forward.
Ohio.
Ohio?
River Downs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is
Really?
Belterra now.
I didn't think that was that
Yeah.
Really?
much then.
So both grandfathers trained. I think it was just, natural progression. Here I am.
Yeah.
Growing up.
You
I
had
think
no choice.
I had no choice. And sometimes I think it was fortunate, sometimes I don't, that there was never any question, for as long as I could remember, this is what I was doing, no matter what.
But you knew when the passion hit you.
Yeah. And, growing up in that atmosphere, you know what you're in store for. So you better love it. You better, you have to. It's a life. It's a lifestyle.
That's what it's more
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
It's not a job.
It's not a job.
No.
I mean, even in my younger days, dating days, if you didn't, date someone in the industry, Friday night, let's go out at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock? I
got to wake up at 4.
Yeah, that's not happening. And 7 days a week, it's really hard. And you better love it.
Yeah.
You're going to do it.
Yeah. So you went from Ohio to California?
No, I was born and raised in South Florida, my sister and I.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I did know
So
that.
Mayberry Farm now consists of my mother, Jeannie,
Yep.
and my sister, Summer, and myself.
She's the matriarch.
Yeah.
She is.
She's the boss.
She is probably one of the best horsemen I think I've ever been around.
Horse person.
Horse person.
Let's get this.
Excuse me, yes. And it's, I think you have it or you don't, and it comes natural. If it comes natural, and it did for her. And like I
agree.
said, I think you can always improve on it. But,
Yeah, as times
but
change.
it's there or it's not.
Right.
And so your dad, Brian, I knew
Yes.
of him. Actually, both Randy and I were around when he was buying horses right here at this sales
Right.
company.
Everywhere, yeah.
Sitting inside there buying, and we always wished, boy, I wish he would buy one of ours.
Where's Mr. Mayberry?
I remember in the 70s, because we grew up in South Florida, and when we'd come up here for the sale, Summer and I were little, and it was always a threat of, if you behave yourself, we can go to Disney World on the way home. It never happened.
Right on by Disney.
Right on by Disney, yeah. But we used to come up here, and it was like pulling teeth. I hated it as a little kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I would have just jumped all over that opportunity.
Grew up in South Florida. I had
Yeah.
the beach. I had a show horse. I'm like,
But he was the big man. He was.
He was. He was brilliant with
He was-
2-year-olds.
yeah.
He really was.
I mean, you couldn't beat him.
No.
No, he was so good. And we ended up going. They went out to California in the early '80s to give it a try, and to Southern California, and got their butts handed to them.
Really?
Oh yeah, everybody. They claimed everything off them. It was very cliquey back then, and they claimed every horse they had. And it went back to South Florida with his tail tucked, and spoke to it was Jan Mason, Samantha Siegel at the time, and they spoke, and this is what I'm going to need to do it again. And I think it was a couple years later they kind of regrouped and moved again out there, and it hit. Then he hit, and
Big
he was
horses.
good to go.
Then you couldn't
right.
stop him. Yep.
Yeah. So,
But
and
he
it-
was one of the biggest buyers at the 2-year-old
Yeah.
sales when I first was getting started.
and it also, to me, this is almost, it's a team, it's not a team sport, but it is. You have to have the right people, like,
Yeah. I mean, we
Randy.
believe it's a team.
you got-
We believe
it's a team, and whoever's on the team brings a certain thing to it to make it a whole.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how my mother and father were.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then you girls.
and then us. And
Yeah.
even though Summer and I are very different personalities, we're the same.
When it
I
comes
think when it comes to the
horses.
horses, yeah.
That's actually Randy and I too. And when we spot a horse, he's going to know whether I like it or not, and we usually will fall on the same horse.
Yeah.
That would be the one we love.
And that's what makes it work.
Yeah.
And that was the same with my mother and father. I'm sure there was an exception, but I don't think they ever bought a horse that they both didn't agree on.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way things go.
And so how old were you girls when y'all went back to California?
Summer was just starting high school, so she kind of considers herself a California girl still. And, it was funny. I was just 18, and I knew everything back then.
Of course.
I could solve world problems. And I said, you know what? I'm not going. So, my mother and father said, fine, you don't have to go. When you're raised in this kind of lifestyle, it's you grow up.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going. They said, fine, don't go. I said, all right. So I went, and I got a job on a farm in South Florida, and for Jorge Romero, and didn't speak any English. I was the only girl. I didn't speak Spanish. And, and it worked. And I learned a lot from him. It was good to get out of, like, always being around my mother and father's outfit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I learned a lot, and I learned a lot from a lot of different people. And sometimes I learned what I didn't want to do, which is
Right.
still
It's
learning.
almost important as learning what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. But that was a good experience and an eye-opening experience. I'm 18, paying my rent, and so it was about 2 years, and I called up Mom and Dad, and I said, listen.
Can I come home?
Yeah, I'm getting a little hungry. But here I came out there, and they said, sure, of course, come on out. And I think they gave me like 3 months. They said 3 months, and you get established and out of the house. And I said, no problem. Believe me, lived on my own a couple of years. I don't want to live with you guys anymore. And I did. And also in Southern California, so I worked for my father in the morning, and then at Santa Anita in the afternoon, I worked for the track photographer. And then at Hollywood Park, I worked in group sales, which I love. It was great. And
All right, 3 jobs.
but you got to see
Yeah.
all aspects of the industry.
You learn how to deal with people.
You learn how to deal with people if you're a people person. And I think I am.
Well, you have to be if you're in your business, because you deal with the horses all day, and then of course they have owners.
Yes.
And then you have to deal with the people and keep them happy.
And that goes back to being, I think where it's become a team sport. You have to get along. Everyone has to be on the same page from start to finish. And I really do. I mean, all my clients, I love my clients. I have very good clients, but we have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's no harm, no foul. If we're not, and I'm not making you happy, then, do something else, because we work too hard at this, and the clients work hard too. And they're in it. They want to have a good time. And when it's not fun,
without
it needs
them,
to change.
there is
No, clients and the horses.
Yeah.
I mean, the two things we have to have.
But we have to have the clients to have the horses.
Yeah.
And then we have to have the right horses for that right client.
Correct.
On that. But so I want to put you on the spot a few times.
Go ahead.
But this one is because you've had such amazing horses in your hands. Even when you worked for other trainers.
Silver Charm.
Yeah. Still this day, one of my all-time favorites.
It came from us.
Yeah, I know.
We have a very soft
Yeah.
I
spot
had
for
to say
him.
that one.
Here we go,
And
full
came from
circle.
OBS.
Yeah. Kentucky Derby winners and Breeders' Cup winners and champions, one after the next. So I know that you have a very good clientele of people, and you were able to direct them to the right horses. So now you have Zenyatta, who is an amazing champion mare that I think had a bigger fan club than Tom Brady.
I think she still does.
I think she still does,
It's
right?
amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing.
So when was the first time you saw that? I mean, I know that when you looked at her and your mom fell in
Loved
love.
her.
My mother loved her.
Yeah.
My mother absolutely loved her.
And said, "Have to have her."
Have to have her. And, you know.
And so that happened, and she gets down to your place, and now you're training her along and doing all the baby stuff with him, teach him take a
Right.
bath, do all this stuff, starting to love on
Right.
him. When did she show you,
Well-
ooh, this is a horse?
Jeannie was more of the head of the operation at that time. I hadn't been here all that long yet. And so we're over at the farm, and we thought we had a lot of nice horses. So the first breeze ever, Jeannie tells the rider, she goes, all right, we're going to put these three in front. We'll all start off, and we'll let Zenyatta just leave her behind and see.
She have a
she's
name
so
then?
big. I can't. You know what? I can't remember if she did or not. She's named after.
I'd be calling it Big Girl.
Yeah, she's named after Ann and Jerry Moss. At the time, they were friends with Sting, from the Police.
Right.
That's Zenyatta Mandata, their album. That's
Their
where-
album, right.
That's where it comes from. And so, anyway, these horses are just coming down the stretch. First ever breeze, and they're just coming down the stretch, and we didn't expect anything from Zenyatta. She's just big and just a lot to her.
Yeah, it's early, it's a
And
baby.
we're looking at her, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, she's not going to be April at Keeneland.
Yeah.
Field, She's going to take some time. And all of a sudden, she just started galloping past them. and I remember my mother looked at me, and she says, oh, my God. She goes, we either got something special, or we got a lot of bad horses here. And I'll never forget that. And she called up David and Gordo at the time, who was connected all in there, and told him, listen, you got something here, I think, or we're in deep trouble with
the rest.
with the rest of them. But you knew. I mean,
you do.
You knew. It's like hair stands up on your arms and gives you chills.
You
And
don't
it's
even
like,
need a stopwatch.
what am I watching here?
Right.
Could this be real?
Yeah.
And obviously it was. So,
I mean, she's just one of the many great horses
Yeah.
that you have had your hands on and been fortunate enough, to be honest, been blessed. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Blessed
Yes.
enough
Yeah.
to have that
Yeah.
kind of quality horses
Yeah.
on there. And we were actually blessed enough to watch you. You trained right on our farm.
True story. Yeah.
To watch these horses go. All these great horses. You had Flightline.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's another one that
Yeah.
comes to mind. That
And he was another one. It was the same thing. The same thing. Only instead of having other horses on the track, I told the rider, and usually with babies, you always do everything in pairs, and
Right.
because they
You gotta
feed
teach
off
'em.
each other,
Yeah.
like kids. Okay, you're not afraid. Okay, neither am I. And it's really amazing how it correlates the same as having elementary. I always consider it elementary school through high school, and
Right.
then they go off to college,
Right.
And then hopefully graduate
Have their
school.
career.
Yeah,
And then they have their career. Yep.
So it's kind of the same thing. And when I first told my rider, I said, "Look, I just smooched him at the top of the stretch, And he said, "Who are we going to put him with?" I said, "I won't put him with anybody. Let's just see what he does." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." Same thing. I mean, he went by, and I was like,
Well,
Yeah.
What and not fast. This is not.
No, it's not
we're
about speed.
Right, yeah.
It's
Right.
not about
We
speed.
understand that.
It's not about. I hate even calling it a breeze. I have a problem with my clients when I say, "Oh, we're having our first." I know what it is in my head.
Yeah.
It's hard to. It's not what other people consider a breeze.
Well,
it's testing them and see
Right.
where they are, what they know, and what I need to teach them to do next. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's all we're doing is giving them, just like a teacher, giving them all the tools they need to go out and be successful.
but
in
one
life.
at a time, because they're
Yeah.
too big or too young to handle a full breeze.
That's
so you're
another
just,
thing.
taking it, kick gloves, so to speak,
Yeah.
and developing them, and developing and developing.
And making a program for the horse instead of the horse fitting in a program.
Right. And when you have 100 of them, there's 100 different programs.
Yes.
There's 100, 200 different programs.
Well,
With 100 horses, 200 programs.
and it's funny too, like when clients come in and successful people and they want to get in the sport and they come in and sometimes they want to apply whatever principles
Right.
made them successful in our with the horses and our industry, and it's like, wait, it doesn't work that way.
Right. Right.
I can tell a horse you're going to do this, and this, and it has to be done by this time, and
It isn't going to
yeah,
happen.
it's not going to happen.
And you can't
So,
train from a boardroom.
Yeah, so that's a bit of an adjustment, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think though, like you say, you get a new one, you can develop them into.
Yeah.
Let me show you my way,
Right.
and with your credibility and what you've had in the past, and these champions that have come off from your hands, they've got to say, okay, April, just tell me
Do what you
how it
gotta do.
goes.
Yeah.
Do what you got to
Yeah.
do.
And it's funny how the horses are. Some of them it comes so natural to. Some of them it takes a little longer. Some are quicker.
Yeah.
I think we get a bad rap sometimes as an industry. We make them do this. I'm not making. We're not making them do anything they don't want to do. I got news for everybody. It doesn't-
1,200 pounds.
It doesn't happen. And the ones that don't want to do it, you know what? They'll make a little girl a nice riding horse.
That's
and,
right.
And we work really hard at doing that, and we've done it year after year. And it's
And some don't want to do it in one stage, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off, and they go, "Hey, I like this."
Well,
You know?
that's a lot that I see, and that's hard getting across sometimes too. It's like, listen, it's
Give it a little
the
time.
horse is there. It's just we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so
Especially these
patience-
colts, their mentality is a little less than the fillies, and so I'm going to admit that
no.
girls are
Well.
a little bit smarter, a little bit quicker to get.
Well, again, it's funny because I think of it like high school. Like girls are okay, I'm getting good grades, and
boys,
boys are like, oh, there's a squirrel, or look at that girl that just walked by, and
let's throw the football a
Yeah.
few more times.
But then I've kind of found, during that 2 to 3 year old year, kind of switches a little bit, and all of a sudden the boys are like, I got it.
Yeah.
I got what you've been trying.
We got to
to
get
teach me."
focused.
Yeah, and the girls are like, hey, and that guy's kind of cute over there. So it is funny, and it always makes me laugh when I.
It
think
is
of that.
so. It is so much. But living with these horses every day, like you guys do, Randy does, and
Yeah.
and you do, and your sister and your mom's still out there sometimes, which is nice.
She comes out every morning.
How old is she?
She's 81.
81. God
Yeah.
bless her, huh?
She's had a few health setbacks, but I'll tell you, she comes out, watches these horses go, and we have Zenyatta's last foal right now.
I know. I just saw that.
And she is a spitting image of her mother.
Oh, really?
The
Wouldn't that be
spitting image.
the
It's-
best, holding the best
Yeah,
off
I
for
don't
the
even want
last?
to talk about her too much.
Right.
Because superstitious lot we are.
It's a filly, huh?
It's a filly. But my point is, Jeannie will come out and goes, where's Big Filly? Has she been out yet? And I'm like, not yet, Mom. And she'll spot her coming to the track, and, she'll watch her and watch a couple other ones go, all right, I'm going home. See you later.
Well, she can now. She's put her
Yeah,
time in.
she's
She's got you out
She's
there.
paid her dues.
She's
yeah,
paid her dues,
for
so she can
sure.
do that, and so that's great. So here's something else to put you on the spot, which a lot of people don't know of. How much do we worry about these darn horses?
I don't know how I'm not full of ulcers. I
Probably are.
That's all. Yeah, yeah.
There's a little bit of
my God.
omeprazole for you, and I get the other part.
Oh my God. I think when I sleep, I'm out because I think I worried all day, all afternoon.
know.
I mean, it just never stops.
So there is new people that have never owned a horse, and they watch our podcast and stuff. So they have no idea of the whole process that goes along and how important it is the trainer to be one with the horse. And when the horse doesn't feel good, either does the trainer.
100%. When my phone rings after 9 o'clock at night, I'm panicked.
You're right.
Night watchman, and there's a problem.
And so I wanted to bring that across because I think people don't get the whole picture of what it is to make a champion. I mean, I feel like that if we can almost convince them that they are a champion, they become a champion. So you got to treat them a certain way, make them think they're doing great all the time, and and we take their worries. Well,
100%, 100%. But it's like anything else. I think, what I've seen in all the good horses I've had is intelligence. And I think people don't realize how intelligent they are.
Yes.
They're very, very smart.
Yeah.
Some of them, not all of them, again.
Well, right. Some smarter than others.
It's like people, some smarter than others, some kind, some not. And it's, like I said, intelligence is, I think, the common denominator. It's always an exception, but I think that's a common denominator with the good ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
I think that.
And then ability, obviously. They have to have ability.
Today we breed them in such a way that, we breed these genes in these thoroughbreds to have that ability. They're bred as racehorses. They're not bred as a rope horse or a jumping horse or something like that we're trying to make them do a discipline that's different. So at least we have a gene pool that we're working with that we can now hope to bring out that ability that they have by the program that you set them in and then the pace that we take with it on that. So I wanted to bring across to our viewers how important it is, the day-to-day grind. And I say grind.
Yes.
It's a 7-day-a-week job.
Yep.
Morning through night.
It never stops.
Right.
It never stops. It was funny back in the day. Tanya Terranova, who's also in the industry, her and I, we were roommates in our early 20s in California. And so we bought, for my parents' anniversary, a trip to Vegas, which we're in Southern California. It's 40-minute plane ride, no problem. And we got a hotel room, the flight, the whole 9 yards. And it's like, please go, go. Never went.
They wouldn't go.
I wouldn't go. I was like, yeah,
Did you and Tanya take the tickets?
No, we didn't. So
Because you're worried about your own horses.
it was like, oh my God. But that's how it was. I mean, you have to, if you're going to have time, you have to chisel it out from somewhere.
Right. Yeah. But when we go to work every day, it's like a vacation because it's such a passion.
Okay.
Do you not get up in the morning, grab your coffee, and say, I got to get to the barn?
When I'm sitting at the farm and I look out over the trees and the track and the horses come, if I've left my house in not the greatest of moods, it does. And you remind yourself, man, this is some office I have.
Right.
It is. I mean, you think about that, and we should always step back and say how blessed we are to have.
Well, that's the whole point.
The ability to have your position.
Yeah.
Because you have to have the ability to have the position. You can't just get the position.
Well, that's true. Well, you can, but you might not have it that long.
So it's like an artist, who paints their picture, and you can bring somebody on and try to teach them what you see, what you feel.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
No.
What you were saying earlier, either you have it or you don't.
The other thing too, Charlie Whittingham told me, I was just getting ready to leave California and I was going to Kentucky, go out on my own.
See all these great people you're talking about, like Charlie Whittingham.
I'll never forget Whittingham. I was on the rail with my father and Charlie, and he said to me, he goes, if I can give you any advice at all, he goes, you never stop learning. If you know it all, quit. Right. He said, I learn, he's in his 80s at the time, he goes, I learn something new every day, even if it's about an individual horse.
Right.
Yeah.
Never get in that spot where you know it all.
Where you think you know it all.
Yeah.
Where you think you know
Because you
it
don't
all.
know it all.
You never will, and just be open to it.
And funny thing, think about it. It's the horse who teaches you.
Well, and they're all different, so how can you know everything? Each one is different.
Yeah.
Different personality, different everything.
How about when you go to a sale and you pick out horses for your clients now, and that horse hits you, and you just know.
I got to go back, look at them 85 times. I'm like, that's the one I want. You know?
And it just comes from the gut, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. They have something that draws you in.
Yeah.
You know, for me anyway. You know, and it's like I just go back to that horse. And go back to that horse.
And they're usually the one.
And they're usually, and it even happens now, like on the farm, going through this process. There's that one, and you know, he or she will come up to the track, and I'll see him out of the corner of my eye, getting ready to get on the track, and for that split second, I'm like, oh, who the hell's that? That's, and then all of a sudden, that's my favorite horse. You know, it's just something.
Yeah,
I don't
and it draws you to them,
yes.
and they draw.
Yeah.
You know, back and forth the same way. And again, it's not something you can teach. It's something you're born with.
Yeah, I do believe that.
Yeah. And you know, it's so hopefully the owners and the prospective owners that maybe will come into this sport can understand that and pick the right people.
I think that's in, you know, that I don't know if evolution is the right word for it, but the industry's changed so much.
Sure it does. I mean, everything changes.
And I don't think, I keep using this term, team sport. I don't think it used to be, you know, I don't think it was. It was the client, the trainer, and the horse, and that was it. And now I think it's evolved to where it almost is. And I think that's the most important thing, is getting with the right people from the start. I've had people that I've gotten them, you know, on their way out. And it was very sad and upsetting to me, because they love the game and things had happened to them through the course of, you know, of them being in it. And, you know, and it was things that shouldn't have happened and weren't nice, and they had been taken advantage of in certain areas. And it was like, you know, what a shame. These people would still be here. You know, they'd have longevity if they had the right people.
Right.
Yeah. So that's it. You know, you or us, Randy and I, we do have a choice. We can pretty much choose our people. Like, if we don't feel like they would fit us, we say no.
Yes. And
because we can.
And I feel the same way. And I don't know if necessarily I have the luxury to say no, but I've done this too long, and it's too hard to not be on the same page.
Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that that's a bad person.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't mean it's because I don't like them. It's just, if you have a different idea or you don't like my idea or the program that I'm going to lay out, then you know what? No harm, no foul.
Right.
You know? Then I'm not the one for you.
Right.
Exactly.
Or you're not the one for me.
Because it's hard enough when everybody is on the same page, let alone when they're not.
Bingo.
So.
Yeah, it's hard enough. It's people, I don't think, realize to get in the winner circle what it actually takes.
Yes.
And then you get a good one.
That's really the purpose of this.
It's really enjoy it. You know, this business is the highest highs and the lowest lows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable winning, and it's a great equalizer. The horses don't know how much they cost. I mean, the people,
and they never say no.
Every walk of life, and you're all looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
And it really is an amazing industry. It's amazing.
I can express one thing that Wayne Lucas, we had Wayne on our podcast, and he said to me, he really realized how powerful this sport is when he had Eugene Klein, and all he wanted to do was win the Super Bowl. You know, he owned the Chargers, and every year he just wanted to win the Super Bowl. And when he won the Kentucky Derby with Winning Colors, Winning Colors? Yeah, Winning Colors. He said, I no longer need to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. He said, this was the biggest thrill of my life.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. When I had worked for Bob Baffert,
how was
that? I learned a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I bet.
He's a brilliant manager. He manages the horse brilliantly. Like he's really
campaigner.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you know, he's brilliant at what he does.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we had Silver Charm, and he wins the Derby, and the excitement of it was standing on the bleachers where the grooms and stuff are, and the assistant trainers. And I'm standing on the bleachers, and he crosses the wire, and I went to step down, and I had no legs, and I felt I felt, I'm like all excited. I want to go to the winner's circle, and I went to step down, my legs were gone. It was just like, I
The
mean,
thrill
there's
is
nothing like it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like you can't describe the feeling.
And that's the best part of the team, like you say, team sport, because even though that wasn't even your horse, he was your horse.
He was my horse.
That's
oh my
right.
God.
And
I would have fought for him, anybody.
Right.
You know,
So that's
and
what makes it a team.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
does. It does. Everyone, and there's so many things that can go the wrong way too. And
They do.
That's out of your control.
But it's fate.
And
I mean, it's
Yeah.
timing, fate. Things go a certain way. We can't control everything.
can't control it. And it makes you try to be a bit of a control freak, which I'm not. That's not my nature, actually.
Yeah.
But I find myself, I have to step back, quit micromanaging, quit.
Yeah.
That's out of my control, like
That's
I
hard
said.
for you to do.
Yeah, it's very hard, and that's not my name. That's not
Now,
me.
Summer, on the other hand, she don't have that problem.
That's true too.
No, I love Summer.
Yeah, I wish she was here with us.
know.
Actually, it would have
Yeah.
been great to have her along because she's.
have her back.
But
Yeah.
we'll have episode
It's-
2.
Yes, because you'll have to ask her. Summer was the coolest thing. She stayed in California. Like I said, she's California girl. So she stayed in California, and at Del Mar they ran a Battle of the Sexes, and they build it, drum up some,
Yeah.
some excitement, some
yeah.
excitement.
Yeah.
And it was her and her horse with Patrick Valenzuela riding, and Bob Baffert, his horse, with Julie Crone riding.
Oh yeah.
And it was actually the coolest thing.
That would be fun.
It was
That was
the
great.
coolest. You don't go to Summer South without watching this video. She must have 20 copies, so she's got to wear them out. But it's really something, and she beats Bob on the wire.
She does.
She beats him. But at the coming around the turn, it's a match race, and coming around the turn, her horse looks like he's going to be distanced. And then Bob's horse, I think it was a mile and a 16th. And Bob's horse just couldn't. He got real late. And Patrick Valenzuela is on Summer's horse and gets him right on the way. It almost looked like it was made up. It was so exciting. But when they're coming around the turn, Summer
That's
said,
a good story.
Summer said she's sinking down in her chair because she's like, I'm going to get beat 20 lengths. How am I going to get to the parking lot? And then all of a sudden he started running and beat him. And it really is cool.
That is fun. So there's so much fun in this sport too, and the excitement in there. That
And to enjoy it with your family too.
That's another thing.
Yeah, that's big.
It really was. And I think we had the best childhood. We had so much fun, and back in the day, the barn area, everybody, you had softball tournaments and barbecues and you grew up with all the other racetrack kids and everything. You had so much fun. It was a great childhood.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I mean, it is. So here you're bred like a racehorse, bred to be a trainer.
Yeah.
Bred to be a trainer, and it worked. Successful as you are with your horses. I'm proud to say you're my friend.
Well, thank you. And I feel the same way.
Because it's just amazing to watch you. And I tell everybody that I think April is phenomenal at what she does, because there's no way. I mean, we see a lot of people have a lot of great horses.
True.
And they just don't come to where they need to. And yours do.
I think
It's just the way it is.
It's funny because, one of my staples are, a lot of times less is more. I want to let them, less is more. And the less you do to them, the happier they are, the more they'll do.
Yeah.
And the more they'll do for you. And that's a big key. And I think sometimes people, they miss that. And they want to fix things that aren't broken, or they want to
push it.
make them do it when they're not ready. And if it's.
But the only way you know that is when you can read the horse.
Well, I was just going to say, you got to listen to them. And they'll tell you. They'll tell you time and time again, this is what I want. This is what I need. And, you get some challenging ones. And, so you change your program. And, it's like, look, do you want to do this or not? And if you do, I'm going to help you. So let's figure out what's going to make you happy. And sometimes that's a little challenging. But
I think most of these thoroughbreds want to.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they're
the majority for sure.
Like I said, we breed them to be a racehorse, and
100%.
So they're bred just like you are.
Yeah.
To be trained.
Yeah. The only problem is I have no athletic ability whatsoever.
You don't have to. You can ride the golf cart.
Yeah.
As long as you have good eyesight and hearing.
Yeah, well, it's
Good
getting
gut feeling.
questionable right now. But,
Just keep sitting in your office.
yeah. Well, my office is the outside.
Yeah, that's your office right there at the palm,
Yeah.
looking over. And well, I think that I would love to have more episodes with you, and as things go on, because we would be here for hours talking about all the great horses that you've had your hands on over the few years, because you're not very old,
Oh, thanks.
that you've had there.
Well, I'm actually 25. This is what the horse trainer does.
Do you? That's what the horses.
Yeah.
But you know, I just know that nobody out there gets to see what we can talk about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You don't understand it unless you're in it.
Yeah.
That's,
You know, and we all talk about it together all the time,
yeah.
but the world doesn't get to see it. So hopefully we can show this to millions of viewers out there and let them think, wow, that's a pretty interesting job. I mean, I got excited to see what was going on in our government the other day, because we never really got a chance to see any negotiations and things like that, whether you liked them or not. Things are working like a clock. All kinds of things have to work like a clock. And
Well, it does it. Everything has to fall into place at the right time. And that's,
so they're seeing it, hearing it from the horse's mouth.
yeah.
The trainer's mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, we can name a million of the great horses, like I said, but I just wanted to touch on a few, and I wanted everybody to know how great April Mayberry and the Mayberry family has been to the
Well,
horse
thank
industry.
you. I appreciate it.
There, and Brian, your dad, we used to, if he walked in our barn, we would have thought,
Yeah.
wow, he's like a star.
He was a love him or hate him type of guy. You always knew where you stood. That was a for sure.
He was always super nice.
But in those days, he was the shake mo of the sales.
Yeah.
You know, he would come in and buy what horses he wanted.
Yeah,
Pretty much. Pretty much he could buy what he wanted.
Yeah, he didn't have a big bankroll though. You know, that was the one thing.
You know,
He didn't
but back
have
then, you know, he would spend $300-400 and, you know, he could get,
yeah.
It's just,
I mean,
and
it's a big bankroll back then.
well, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
and your dad not necessarily went for maybe the best bred horse in the sale. You know,
Well, that's
Physical.
he
he
really
went for the racehorse, the physical.
for
the,
his clients. They made pedigrees, and that's
Yeah, they did, didn't
That it worries me a little bit now. It's like, you know, everybody's looking to buy the pedigree. I mean, you need to make a little pedigree here.
Yeah, and you can. We see that every day, though. You know, horses that, like I said, they're all got the great gene pool.
Yeah.
And how that gene pool comes together, even if we don't see it on paper sometimes. But when you go back and start to look, it's there. It shows up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel that sometimes we get a little bit away from buying the athlete.
Yeah, and that we can never do.
And worry too much about the paper. And that's what, to me, that's hard. Like, I have a real disconnect with that because I'm always trying to buy the athlete. So even in our sales part of it, you know, it's sometimes soul crushing to me because I'm like, I know this horse can run, but the pedigree doesn't warrant, you know, what somebody's willing to take a chance on.
Well, that for sure is true. But, you know, when Randy and I walk through the sale, most of the time I don't even have a book. And I don't even open the book. So I try to look at the horse first.
Right.
He already knows what the horse is, whether it's a, you know, great pedigreed horse or not. And of course he looks at it too. But that way we don't get judged by this is a strong cat or this is a you know, unbridled back. You know, there we started just looking at horses and just to see if the physicals all have to look like an athlete.
Right. They have to.
Yeah, they don't have to be perfectly correct. They could be a little toed in, a little toed out. None of that makes a difference. But the physical has to work completely all the way through the horse. 100%. And they don't have to be big either. They can be, you know, medium-sized horses are fine.
Well, that's for you guys, not necessarily for me when I walk up to the sale.
Yeah.
But as a racehorse, all those things are correct.
Yes. So it's funny. So you go from picking them out, to taking them home, teaching them everything. Yep. First their ABCs, get in the bath, then training, and then developing this training into a little further, a little further, a little stronger, a little further.
Yeah.
And then they're ready to go off to their careers,
Yeah.
to the trainer.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully.
hopefully it's the right trainer for the right horse.
Well, and that's another thing,
Yeah.
and that is that's a true thing. I think some horses fit some trainers better than others.
Sure.
Some horses are all around horses. They'll be good in anyone's barn.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are certain ones that I think, there's a certain place that they're going to do better in.
Well, I mean, it has to be. When you look at Wayne Lucas, 26 champions, 19 fillies.
Yeah.
Think about that. He must have a way with fillies
Yeah.
just right.
Got away with
he
the
does,
girls.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always has.
Yeah.
And he said that too.
Yeah.
But there's a certain connection that goes together, and so hopefully they go to the right spots and the right areas and go off to make and to show what they were born to be.
Yeah. Well, what's I know I'm going to butcher this, but the old saying of we can't make a good one, but we can sure screw up a good one.
Yeah.
Well, we can't make a good one bad or a bad one good.
Good. Right.
But
Can't make
we
bad. We can screw up a
there
good
we are,
one.
But we can sure screw up. There we can just like I screwed that up. But
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And that's true. That is a true story. So.
Yeah. But I would like to have you and your sister
And your mom.
and mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to.
All three of you.
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk. We can tell some stories when we get mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got some stories.
Yeah.
She has some stories.
They would love to hear those stories. I
Yeah.
guarantee you.
It's really amazing to see what, Summer and I don't see it like the women in the men thing. I don't see it.
yeah.
And I didn't see it growing up. And I have friends that aren't in the industry, and they'll talk about something in their lives where they've really seen a difference in that. And I never saw it. And
Like
well, you
being
gotta-
a woman in a man's
yeah,
world.
being a woman in a man's world. And I sometimes I have a hard time.
I don't see
with
that.
because
I never,
I don't think I haven't felt it. Maybe it was there. I don't know.
No,
You
I
know,
don't.
But I didn't think because the guy standing next to me was better because it was a man. That never crossed my mind. Just
I don't think you're a great trainer because you're a woman.
yeah. Well, but
He was the great trainer. That's all
I
there
don't
is
know
to
where we
it.
got on that. How we started. I had something in my head to make a point, but it's gone. But
But I never.
speaking about my mother and hearing her stories on she couldn't be in the barn area at night and she rode women couldn't ride against the men.
Wow.
And so she rode a race. They'd call it Powder Puff Derby, and so they do a race where only women rode the horses, and
Really?
she did that every once in a while too. But yeah, and they
Well,
build
wait a
it
minute.
as
She was a jock.
no, she rode a race.
Oh.
yeah, but oh my God, she does.
She
has
loves
some
riding
stories.
though. She rode
loved it.
until not too long ago, right?
Yeah, Summer she still tells Summer I want to go trail riding, and Summer will call me and go, "Oh man, what are we gonna do?"
We're gonna go trail riding. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. But it is, and my father's grandfather, so my great grandfather won the Derby in 1903.
Really?
Wow.
Yep.
We're gonna have to have 10 episodes.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. A family friend of ours that we met, he started doing ancestry stuff, and he called Summer and I, was group texting with us, and he traced us back. He said we are the 8th generation horse trainer, which I never knew. I thought we were always like 4th generation. Up until
8
recently.
generation horse trainer.
I had 2. I don't know what they were. Great grandfather. I had some George Mayberry, and he died of a heart attack in his horse and buggy, watching his horses train at a racetrack. Yeah,
Really?
I mean, it was amazing. Like I thought he was making it up, and then he sent some of the papers and stuff that proved it. I was like, my God, I had no shot.
God put you on earth.
I had no shot.
this
was
reason.
it. Yeah, this was it.
Well, you've definitely done your part and have a lot more to do. That's for sure, because you'll do this until
Yeah.
the day they put you under. Oh,
Yeah.
what's your phone?
Yeah, well.
You don't have to answer it today. So that's good. It just broke.
That wouldn't be a bad thing.
I know, because we were supposed to do this podcast yesterday.
Yes, and the day got away.
Yeah, which is fine. Like I said, it's a lot of fun, and again, I wanted to introduce you so that the whole world knows what we get to see and enjoy too. You as a trainer and how far you've come in this whole world, even if it's a man's world.
Wow. Yeah.
Which
it's
I don't
not
look,
so
like I
much
said, I
for me.
never looked at
Yeah.
it that way.
Well, neither did I, and that's what I mean. I think the best takeaway is that anyone can be involved in this. Anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody. And anyone can be successful at
Yeah.
it. And I mean, as far as the racing end of it,
Well,
you know,
there's probably 1 million people out there would have loved to own a racehorse and maybe afraid to step up and say, hey, I want to buy a
Yeah.
racehorse. And we want to say, this is great. Come join us.
yeah,
We have a
we'll
blast.
figure it
Everybody-
out. Yeah, well,
you know.
you can make it work.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Eugene Klein, all he wanted to do is win the Super Bowl until he won the Kentucky
Yeah.
Derby. He no
And-
longer needed it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Medina Spirit,
Yes.
$1,000.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, they can come from
30,000.
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and win. I mean, hello.
You know,
So
homebreds. We had pretty much a homebred. You know, we owned the stallion, and that horse was second in the Derby. You know how proud we were to raise that
Yeah.
baby.
He was 99 to 1.
Yeah, that's all right.
matter, but he was second.
You got to the big
And
dance,
your owner beat us.
Yeah, with Giacomo. It was close an argument, but because these are our kids, you know, and they're growing
Oh,
up
yeah,
to
God, yeah.
Wow,
be the
yeah.
Yep.
you know, winning the Kentucky Derby, although any of those good big races is like being the president of the United States.
It's amazing.
know?
Like I said, there's no feeling in the world like it.
On that, but well, I'm gonna wrap this episode up, but we're gonna have a lot more to say. So
I'd love to come back. So
yes,
anytime.
we're gonna keep doing it, and
This
so
was a
it,
tame one.
yeah,
Wait till mom comes.
Yeah.
yeah. And aren't you gonna ask how much you getting paid? By the way, this is all voluntary.
Yeah. I didn't know there was money involved. Changes it all.
Exactly.
Well, if you like what you see and would like to watch more of our podcast, you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram. And then, of course, subscribe to us on YouTube and get to watch all of Leading the Way podcast with Rainey Hartley, Dean DeRenzo, and today's guest is April Mayberry.
Well, thank you guys very much for having me.
Thank you for coming on, taking the time.
All
All right.